Close your eyes for a moment. Imagine a wall, stone, ancient, cold to the touch. Behind you, the people you swore to protect, farmers, mothers, children who have never held a sword. In front of you, a sea of 40,000 men who have never once lost a battle. You have no reinforcements, no relief column. No one is coming. What do you do? This is not a thought experiment. This is history. And tonight, you are going to live through three of the most defiant, devastating, and breathtaking lost stands the world has ever seen. Not as a spectator, as the person standing at the wall. By the end of this, you won't just know what happened. You'll understand why people, ordinary, terrified, completely outmatched people, chose to plant their feet and refuse to move. Let's begin. You wake before dawn in a stone fortress on a Hungarian hilltop, and the first thing you hear is drums. Not the familiar rhythm of a morning muster, something heavier, slower, the kind of sound that travels through the earth before it reaches your ears. You press your palm flat against the cold floor and feel it, a low trembling, deep underground, as if the land itself is trying to warn you. You already know what it means. You've known for weeks. The Ottomans are here. To understand why you're standing on this particular hill, in this particular fortress, facing this particular army, you need to go back 26 years. In 1526, at a place called Mohacs, the Ottoman Sultan Suleiman the Magnificent did something that stunned all of Europe. In a single afternoon on a flat Hungarian plain, he obliterated the entire Hungarian army. Not defeated it, obliterated it. Thousands of nobles dead. The 20-year-old Hungarian king, fleeing the carnage on horseback, fell into a river and drowned. His armor pulled him under before anyone could reach him. Suleiman had expected Hungary to simply collapse after that, to fall like a ripe fruit into his hand. Instead, what happened next is one of the stranger twists in European history. The Habsburg family, the most powerful dynasty in Europe at the time, controlling Austria, Spain, the Netherlands, large swaths of Italy, and technically the entire Holy Roman Empire through a web of strategic marriages, had a claim to Hungary through King Louis, who happened to be one of their own. When Louis drowned, the Habsburgs didn't grieve, they mobilized. Ferdinand of Austria declared himself King of Hungary before the body was even cold. Suleiman was furious. He had not just won a battle to hand the prize to the Habsburgs, and so began one of the longest personal grudge matches in recorded history, a decades-long series of wars between the greatest sultan the Ottoman Empire ever produced and the most powerful family in European politics. Vienna itself was besieged, twice. Both times, Suleiman was turned back. Now the Sultan is approaching 60 years old. He has spent his entire reign fighting toward the heart of Europe, and the Habsburgs keep blocking him. Time is running out. He has sent 2 armies into Hungary to inch forward, to seize, to strangle. In the blink of an eye, 25 Hungarian fortresses fall. The Ottoman war machine moves like a tide. And you, Captain István Dobo, are standing on the wall of the one fortress they have not yet reached. You sent your first letter to Ferdinand weeks ago, begged him for reinforcements. The letter was polite, formal, urgent. No response. You sent another, nothing. Ferdinand is managing a dozen crises across his vast empire, and a fortress on the Hungarian border is, apparently, not at the top of his list. So you are left with what you have, 2,000 men. That is your number. 2,000 soldiers, some professional, many of them peasants who took shelter inside Ager's walls when the Ottoman tide began to sweep their villages. You have farmers holding pikes. You have blacksmiths who have never fired a cannon. And outside the wall, the Ottoman army, 40,000 strong, battle-hardened, flush with momentum and confidence, is beginning to arrange itself. You call your people together. You do not give them false hope.
You do not tell them reinforcements are coming because you don't know if that's true. What you tell them is this: you will not surrender. Ager will not surrender. Fight with you or leave now while you still can. Nobody leaves. When the Ottoman messenger arrives at your gate carrying terms, a formal surrender offer written in beautiful calligraphy, promising mercy and safe passage, you consider it for a moment. You understand exactly what it would mean to accept. You also understand what it would mean to refuse. You have a black coffin hoisted up between two spears on the rampart. The messenger stares back. You stare back. The siege begins September 17th, 1552. For 12 days, the Ottomans pour cannon fire into your walls. Stone chips and dust fill the air. You breathe through a cloth now to keep the powder and grit from choking you. The constant thunder of artillery has become so familiar that when there's a brief silence, the quiet feels strange and wrong, like the pause before something worse. And then something unexpected happens. The women come to the walls. They have been watching from the courtyard, wives, daughters, mothers who fled here for protection and found themselves trapped instead. They look at each other and make a decision that no one ordered, no one strategized, and no historical document can fully explain. They climb up. They arrive carrying pots of boiling water, cauldrons of roofing tar heated to scalding. They pour it over the parapet onto the soldiers below. Some of them pick up the weapons of fallen defenders and fight alongside their husbands. Some are young, some are old. None of them have any military training. They fight anyway. For the rest of the siege, these women of Ager become part of your army. Shoulder to shoulder with farmers and blacksmiths and professional soldiers, they hold the line. But the Ottomans are relentless. On September 29th, they break through. They pour into one of Ager's towers. You make the brutal call. Aim the cannons at your own tower and collapse it onto the soldiers who just entered. The tower crashes down. The breach closes. But the cost of that decision, the look on your soldiers' faces when they realize what you just did, is something you carry with you. It's also the moment morale begins to crack. You discover a mutiny forming in the lower halls, a small group planning to surrender behind your back. You have the ringleader hanged in the castle market. His conspirators lose their ears. You are not proud of this, but you are not going to let one coward's fear become everyone's fate. On October 4th, a massive gunpowder reserve inside the fortress explodes. The blast tears apart walls and wipes out most of your remaining ammunition in a single catastrophic instant. Before the dust settles, the Ottoman army is already moving. They heard it too. The assault that follows is total. More soldiers pour through the breach than you've seen at once. All hope seems lost. And then a man named Gergely Bornemisse does something that should not work and absolutely does. He finds the remaining gunpowder, flint, sulfur, oil. He takes a massive wooden water wheel, the kind used to power mills, and packs it full of everything that can burn or explode. He lights it. He sends it rolling. The wheel barrels toward the Ottoman troops gathered at the breach, spinning faster and faster, flinging burning oil in every direction and detonating with a continuous series of small explosions as it goes. Soldiers scatter. The charge collapses into chaos. You stare at Bornemisse. He shrugs. The battle continues for another week. But outside the walls, something has gone terribly wrong for the Ottomans, and not through anything you did. They simply ran out of ammunition. They expected this fortress to fall in days, not weeks, and they did not bring enough supplies for a siege this long. Disease has spread through their camp. Their two commanding generals are arguing so viciously with each other that officers could barely get orders followed. Soldiers have lost the will to advance, and junior commanders are literally pushing men toward the walls at sword point. On October 17th, half the Ottoman army turns and marches away. The rest follow the next morning. You stand on the wall of Ager and watch them go. 9,000 Ottoman soldiers died trying to take this fortress. 9,000. against 2,000 defenders, half of them civilians who had never planned to fight anyone. You don't celebrate. You're too exhausted, too hollowed out, too aware of how close it came. But you did it. For the first time in their war against the Habsburgs, the Ottoman army had been turned back by a force they outnumbered 20-1. The news spreads across Europe like electricity. Dobo and the defenders of Eger become legends overnight.
But here is the part they don't always tell you. Suleiman returns, years later, with a larger army, and Eger falls. History is not always fair. But what happened in 1552 is permanent. It cannot be undone. A small group of farmers, soldiers, and women with pots of boiling tar held the line long enough to change the momentum of an empire. Sometimes that is enough. You are awake before the sun, marching through the Mexican dark, and your feet hurt. That's the mundane truth beneath the heroic legend. Your feet hurt. You've been walking since last night. 62 men, 2 officers, 1 mission. Find the supply convoy, escort it safely to Puebla. Simple enough. Except nothing in this war has been simple since the French Empire decided that a distracted United States and a financially ruined Mexico added up to a perfect opportunity for colonization. You are a soldier of the French Foreign Legion, and if that title means anything to you at this point, it's mostly this: nobody expected much from you. At 5:45 in the morning, your company reaches the rendezvous point. Captain John Danjou calls a rest. Someone starts brewing coffee. You find a patch of shade and close your eyes. You have 11 minutes. Then someone shouts. 250 Mexican cavalry have appeared on the ridge to the north, just sitting there, watching. Before you can count them, more appear ahead, 800 mounted soldiers blocking the road to the south. You are 62 men standing in an open field between 2 forces that together outnumber you more than 16-1. Danjou doesn't hesitate. He orders you toward the nearest structure, a hacienda, a large walled farm compound about 300 meters east. The cavalry charge before you get there. Danjou orders a hollow square formation, the classic anti-cavalry defense, everyone facing outward, firing in synchronized volleys. It shouldn't work this well. But you hold the charges off, twice, 3 times, retreating the whole time. 16 of your men are captured in the chaos. The rest of you make it through the compound gates. The gates close behind you. Mexican forces begin surrounding the walls. You do a quick count. 49 men. He holds out his hand. The left one, the right is made of wood. He asks each of you to swear on it. No surrender. Fight until none of you can fight anymore. Every man in the room touches the wooden hand. Then Danjou opens a bottle of wine, passes it around. The last drink. Outside, the Mexican commander sends a negotiator through the gate. His message is almost gentle. There's no point in this. You are surrounded. Surrender and live. No one needs to die here today. Danjou's answer: we have plenty of ammunition. Tell your colonel we decline. The negotiator stares at him. At 11 in the morning, the Mexicans storm the compound. What follows is 6 hours long and terrible and extraordinary. You fight room by room, window by window, courtyard to wall to rooftop. Danjou is shot through the chest early. He dies in the afternoon. Command passes again and again. By 5:30, 6 men are still standing, then 5. They make a final retreat to a small storehouse. They have enough for 1 volley. They fix bayonets. They come out firing. The volley cuts down several soldiers. Then it's bayonets. 3 men remain standing. A Mexican officer shouts, "Hold fire." He asks them to surrender. They agree on 2 conditions. He looks at them.
These are not men, he says. They are demons. Out of 62 soldiers who left camp that morning, 3 walked out alive. It was each other. You are one of 1,500 Swiss pikemen, and you are absolutely furious. Charge. 30,000 men, and you keep walking. A bolt goes through your arm. You pull it out. You keep walking. Nobody breaks formation. The math wins eventually. It always does. You fall back to a small hospital building and make your stand there. The bombardment is methodical and merciless. Of 1,500 Swiss pikemen, fewer than 20 walked away. 3,000 French soldiers died that day. He turned his army around. He went home. 3 walls, 3 impossible odds, 3 decisions. Dobo chose to hang a black coffin on the rampart. Danjou chose to pass a bottle of wine around. 1,500 Swiss pikemen chose to cross a river. What connects them isn't just bravery, a refusal to let the math be the last word, a decision that there is something worth more than the probability of survival. History is full of rational calculations. It's also full of moments when ordinary people looked at a rational calculation and said, "Not today." Those moments don't always end in victory, but they change things anyway. They always do. The question is not, would you fight? The question is, what are you willing to stand in front of? Think about that.